tonight. Day 6. The deepening crisis in the Middle East. Israel pushes into Lebanon. Hezbollah pushes back. Getting out. U.S. citizens are fleeing Lebanon, so are the French, the British, and the Swiss. But Canadians are stranded, at least until midweek. A final salute.
Tony was the most amazing guy. He treated me like a princess.
He was a man of courage. For as long as I live, he will never be forgotten.
Corporal Anthony Beneka is remembered as a good man and a good soldier. Plus, hot, hot, hot. Central Canada is cooking. Now some people are keeping cool.
The National. Here is Peter Mansbridge.
Good evening. A staggering figure from Ottawa tonight. It says an estimated 50,000 Canadians are living, working, or visiting Lebanon right now. Many are stranded and frightened as bombs drop around them. Tonight, thousands of them are looking to Ottawa to get them out and fast. But it won't be easy with a war raging around them. From the air, Israel has been hitting Beirut and southern Lebanon for 6 days. About 50 Lebanese were killed today, more than 200 since last week. From the ground, Hezbollah has been firing rockets from Lebanon across the border, reaching deeper into northern Israel. Today, 8 Israelis were killed, more than 20 since last week. Today, Syrian officials say more than 100,000 people have fled Lebanon and crossed the border into Syria. We have extensive coverage tonight of the situation on the ground and the stranded Canadians waiting to be rescued. And we begin with one of the few Canadian journalists in Lebanon, our own Nala Ayed. Nala.
Peter, after 6 days of Israeli bombardment, Lebanon is suffering from casualties, shortages, and destruction. Southern Lebanon in particular, though, has long commanded Israel's attention. It was there that Israel often faced off with its old enemy Hezbollah. And today, for the first time in this crisis, Israel attacked them on the ground. The assault didn't last long before Israeli troops finished their operation and retreated. Still, the foray widened Israel's campaign to push Hezbollah back, while relentless strikes on the south of Beirut and elsewhere continued. It's civilians, though, who bear the brunt of the violence, as they did in Tyre today, where an Israeli airstrike hit a building, killing more than a dozen people. We ask God to hear our prayers and to stop this devastating war, says this priest. We ask him to make this difficult time very short because there are a lot of innocent people dying. Diplomatic efforts are picking up. The French, Italians, and others are working for a ceasefire. Lebanese Prime Minister Fouad Siniora wants UN intervention.
Lebanon appeals to all its friends around the world to come to its assistance, exert pressure to stop the aggression, and provide humanitarian aid.
Until that happens, Lebanese watch as foreigners leave, just like they did in the past when war broke out here. Today, the first choppers and ships arrived in Lebanon to get European and American citizens out. Canada has announced plans to evacuate citizens from Lebanon. But today, outside the Canadian embassy here, there were only questions, confusion about what to do and when. The other countries, they're in the process of leaving, says Mohammed Shabu, caught up in an air raid while visiting the northern city of Akkar. We're in the process of asking what we should do, he says. A day after vacationing Canadians died in an Israeli airstrike in the south, there was also concern. There's still no word on how Canadians outside Beirut will be saved. Canadian Salman Karout's daughter and his 2 grandchildren are stranded in the south. And with highways destroyed and the attacks continuing, he doesn't know what to do. There's no food and there's no milk, he says. She called us this morning. I went to the Red Cross and they told me to go to the embassy. For the Lebanese, though, there are few options. And without a ceasefire to bring supplies in, life in what is now a country sealed from the rest of the world will be intolerable. Peter.
Nala, what's Hezbollah saying in all this?
Well, at the moment, they're not saying much, but I can tell you that just a couple of days ago, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah declared open war against Israel, and he cautioned against underestimating Hezbollah's capabilities. Now, the idea that Hezbollah would accept a ceasefire without gaining something from it is highly unlikely, but it is under increasing local pressure to make some kind of deal before this country is reduced to ruins. Peter.
All right, Nala, thanks very much. The CBC's Nala Ayed in Beirut tonight. Well, as you heard in Nala's report, some are criticizing the Canadian government, calling Ottawa's response much too slow for such a quickly deteriorating situation. Eric Sorensen now with the details of that response and Canada's plan to get its people out of danger.
Have more details in 24 hours.
Ottawa won't say it was unprepared in Lebanon, but will say Canada faces a unique crisis. 50,000 Canadians, 9,000 kilometers away.
The embassy got it.
The Foreign Affairs Operations Centre has beefed up staff, but has been swamped anyway.
Please call your sister, tell her to leave according to what the pamphlets are telling her.
More than 11,000 phone calls and emails the last few days. Most from Lebanese Canadians like this protester, distraught and frustrated.
We're not understanding why our government isn't getting them out.
If Canada was caught off guard, the Foreign Affairs Minister suggests it wasn't alone.
But I think you can appreciate even people living in Lebanon may not have sensed the immediacy of the threat and the fact that they were going to find themselves in harm's way.
The crisis escalated sharply last Wednesday. 2 Israeli soldiers captured. Israel retaliates with attacks into Lebanon. Thursday, Prime Minister Harper calls the Israeli assault a measured response. Behind the scenes, though, Foreign Affairs creates a task force to deal with the crisis. Friday, amid widespread bombing, Canadian officials begin looking for ships to rescue Canadians. By Saturday, Western countries move to get their nationals out, some by helicopter, others by bus. Ottawa has no aircraft available to fly Canadians out and decides land transport is too dangerous. Sunday, Canada fines 3 vessels to ferry Canadians from Lebanon to Cyprus. By Monday, 6 vessels have been leased that can carry 4,500 Canadians per day, but not before this Wednesday, and not even then if it's deemed unsafe to evacuate.
I think the government reaction was too little, too late, slow on take-up, and unfortunately the situation has now deteriorated to a point where it may be difficult to guarantee Canadians any type of safety anytime soon.
I'm not going to get into judging our preparedness versus others. What I can tell you is we've been working extremely hard around the clock.
Already, some 25,000 Canadians have registered with Canada's embassy in Beirut.